Hello, this is DynaSample. My name is Ingo. In this video, I would like to show you the power of the preset editor for the DynaSample XpressO and XO-mini. These modules include features that do not exist on other hardware or software instruments. These unique features actually give you the unprecedented sound and playability of the DynaSample instruments. Please enjoy this video. Once you have started up your XpressO or XO-mini, you will see this screen if you have an HDMI monitor connected. Here you see your current patch. You can change bank numbers and you can change preset numbers. You can also store your current patch to any of the 8 preset memory buttons below the blue LCD display. The most important button for this video, however, is the Open Preset Editor button. Just click on it. And here we are at the preset editor. This might look a little bit intimidating to some people at first glance, but don't worry, everything is structured into small sections that are easily manageable. You start out on top with the LCD display of the XpressO or XO view. On the left we have the effect sense, followed by the vibrato and overdrive, and to the right we have the CC remapping. This is a very important section that I will be talking about. And here is the low pass filter, and next to it we have some aux envelopes that are very important for nuanced attacks. On the left bottom you see the 4-band EQ, which is totally MIDI controllable. To the right you see the legato section. You see a section for creating overtones that are not existing in the original samples. To the right of this we have another overtone feature that I will be talking about later. Below this we have the modulated noise, which is a breath noise. And we have the growl, multiphonics, and the harmonic dirt, which means some noise or some overtones that are either subharmonics or randomly above the sound. To the right there's the ChordMapper, we have the aux synth, and then we have a partial filter for filtering out separate partials. These are also MIDI controllable. Above this we have the pitch band section. We have 2 different pitch bands to actually control the pitch. To the right we have the analog synthesizer, which is a standard 2 oscillator synthesizer with a couple of special features. The interesting thing is that you can use it as a standalone synthesizer, or you can use it as a combination of the samples and the synthesizers, and we'll also be talking about this later. Going into all the details of this preset editor would go beyond the scope of this video, so I will be talking about some of the features but also leaving out others. So let's talk about the effects first. The effect sends and returns are set up exactly as they are on a mixing console. You have 4 sends here on this side, going to a reverb, ambience, chorus, and a delay. As they do on a real mixing console, they do not return here where they are being sent from, but they return to a master section, and it's the same here. We're going to global and 4 times to the right, and we get to the reverb settings. This is where the reverb comes back, so we have the return volume here. We can turn the reverb on off, and we have the choice of different presets for this reverb. And if you keep going to the right, we have the reverb parameters, so we can set the room size, we can set the damping, and we can set the delay. The same thing is valid for the ambience. By storing effects per patch, you can do things like this cello drone followed by a flute playing over it. The parametric 4-band EQ is probably the most important tool when it comes to creating timbre changes from dynamics. Each band has its independent positive or negative gain over the dynamic range. This creates timbre changes that follow more or less the dynamic format behavior of acoustic instruments. For hearing the effect on timbre only, we can turn off the dynamics by setting the sample dynamic range to 0% here in the dynamic section. Here's what the EQ of one tenor sax note sounds like over the full dynamic range with and without volume changes, always without any added overtones. By adding dynamic overtones, you can create some additional brightness that is not even existing in the original sample. The overtones are tunable and always follow the dynamics. This is how one single EQ band can sound on dynamics when setting it to the maximum breadth gain while changing the frequency and Q settings. Another overtone-related feature is separating the overtones into odd and even numbered partials. So you can either overblow into the octave or make a cover pipe sound like a clarinet or pan flute. Legato, auto portamento, and portamento are responsible for the different qualities of note transitions. Here is the difference between legato, auto portamento, and real portamento, also known as glissando. This shows how the aux envelopes can increase the definition of attacks. And here's how diverse and complex note connections and articulations can get when using both techniques or settings at the same time. CC remapping is a very important tool. Most wind controllers send fixed MIDI CCs. Usually they cannot easily be reprogrammed or sent to different CC numbers for different functions. Neither can they adjust their range spontaneously. This is where the CC remapping comes in. You can set up your controller to transmit whatever CCs you would like it to transmit. The XpressO or XO-mini can remap any CC number globally right after the MIDI input. Then it can remap these CCs even further per patch. In each patch there are 6 slots for mapping incoming CCs, including aftertouch and pitch bend, to any other CC and even extended CCs that are higher than CC 127. These high number CCs cannot be transmitted over MIDI and are only for use within the XpressO or XO-mini. Besides simply changing the CC number, you can also set the input window and output range. This also allows, for example, reversing the range. This way you can always get the ideal range if you want to redirect, for example, your glide strip to an EQ band for a wah-wah effect. On this tenor sax, I'm remapping my glide strip to growl and multiphonics at the same time by using the copy instead of the replace mode. Vibrato can be done in a number of ways. For EWIs or controllers with reed-style mouthpieces, you can either send pitch bend or CC1. CC1, when remapped to CC134, actually recreates the EWI-style vibrato without the artifacts of the EWI pitch bend vibrato. The advantage of sending CC1 over pitch bend is the ability to remap CC1 to other destinations. This would not work when sending EWI pitch bend vibrato from the byte controller. In some cases, the automatic LFO style vibrato is quite useful. For example, if you are a beginner, you can have a good sounding vibrato immediately. I personally use it mostly on multi-sounds for having each instrument play its own individual vibrato. If you have been playing acoustic wind instruments before, you might prefer breath vibrato. Some people also call it diaphragm or throat vibrato. Flute, oboe, recorder players and so on, but also many of the last generation saxophone players prefer this technique. It actually works on all acoustic instruments, so why shouldn't it work on wind controllers? The volume compensation takes care of lowering or even totally eliminating the undesired level change on dynamic vibrato. Here we are looking at the overdrive that is responsible for distortion similar to a guitar amp. The jazz organ uses overdrive and an additional stereo Leslie effect. The Leslie is split in bass and treble frequencies with individual speeding up and slowing down times. When clicking this checkbox for doubling, you can make a stereo instrument out of a single mono source. The ChordMapper allows polyphonic playing with a monophonic source like a wind controller. It is multi-timbral as opposed to many other solutions that work on a single MIDI channel. Those do not allow monophonic articulations like legato or a correctly working Portamento. Since there are not enough voices for full chords, auxiliary voices are used for expanding the polyphony. These are rather simple analog synth voices. They serve the purpose of filling up the harmonies though. The possibilities go from playing a single parallel chord over the full range, over playing an individual chord on each note of the piano range, or repeating the same chord on each octave. To the breaker rotators with mixed acoustic and synth sources. Voices can be switched or faded in and out with CCs, like for example the low harmony note on this blues harp. Since showing how to program and edit the ChordMapper would be quite time consuming, I'm not going any further here. A separate video about the ChordMapper will be coming. One powerful feature is the sample offset, which uses differently pitched sample assignments and therefore changes the format character. This is what it sounds like if I change the sample offset on a flute. Last but not least, let's talk about the two-oscillator analog modeling synthesizer, which is integrated into the sample voice. These are a few short examples of some pure synth patches. Here are some synth patches with added samples. And here the synth is integrated as part of the sample sound. When you listen to the cello, you can hear a special feature allowing releases as if you were playing on a keyboard. This is possible by delaying the breath dynamics in an intelligent way. Again, the synthesizer is a topic that deserves its own video, so I'm going to stop here with the preset editor overview, even though we have not yet covered all features by now. I hope you had fun with this video. If you want more information, please go to the DynaSample website, dynasample.com. See you next time!